Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. Okay, so today I'm kind of excited because I'm taking you into this library with me. I've done some of these videos where I've taken you book shopping with me to Barnes & Noble, and today we're going to do a library version of that. I haven't checked out library books physically in years, probably 2 years. I do use my library a lot for Hoopla and Libby for ebook and audiobook checkouts. I use those services a ton, but I don't often go into my library to check out books, and that's mostly because they don't really have a lot of the books that I like to read. They don't have a ton of historical romance. They don't have really any indie romance that you can check out physically. So I just usually stick to either I buy it or I get the Kindle version or I do the audio version. So I kind of want to change that. I also need to go get my library card renewed, which is the real reason why I'm here, so I can continue to check out audiobooks. But I thought I would just bring you along. We'll go in, we'll see what we can see, and I'll do a voiceover so you can hear what I'm thinking while we're trying to find some books. I will say the things that I'm going to be looking for, this library, if I remember correctly, doesn't have a designated romance section. It's just in with their fiction. So I am kind of interested in maybe, as I'm looking, hopefully I'll find some good romance, but I think I will probably find more fantasy, and maybe just some general fiction, maybe some thrillers or mysteries. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what they've got in there. Maybe I'll check out their YA section. Like I said, I haven't been into this library physically probably in about 2 years, so I'm excited. So let's go in and see what they've got, and then I'll come back in and show you what I've got at the end. Alright, so here we go into the library, and after I watched back this footage, I do have to say that this is a little chaotic because this library isn't organized by genre, just all fiction. Adult fiction is lumped together. It was a little difficult to browse and try and find things in the genres that I wanted. Fantasy was right next to literary fiction, was right next to romance, was right next to mysteries, and there were even some young adult romances stuck in there as well. So anyway, it's gonna be a little chaotic, but let's go see what we can find. So right when I walk in, there is the young adult section, and for old time's sake, and just because I still have an interest in young adult books, I decided to look through and see what we could find. So I am browsing over the shelves, seeing all these old titles that I have seen for years and years and years, and just loved and adored them, hoping to find something that I really want to pick up. And I actually ended up seeing these, which I have read. I read East many, many, many years ago and really loved it. It's a retelling, I can't remember, is it a Snow Queen retelling? I'm not entirely sure. It's very magical. That's the sequel, which is new, which I haven't read. So I'm thinking about those. Maybe we'll get those. I don't know. Let's keep going. So, back to more young adult books, seeing a lot of heavy hitters, Marissa Meyer, of course, and not sure what this is. Not interested. The title sounded interesting, but it didn't end up being interesting. This one looked neat. This is a Beauty and the Beast retelling where the beast is like a wolf. I've never read this author, never even heard of this book, but I was interested. I don't know, we may come back for that. Okay, now we're heading into the adult fiction section and just admiring this beautiful library. Say hello to Groot. And just gonna keep walking. It's such a pretty space, so clean and just grand. Of course, had to check in and see all of the J.R. Ward. One of you left a comment on one of my recent videos asking if I had read J.R. Ward, and I was like, oh yeah, many, many years ago, but I definitely had read her. So still looking at fiction, it's all alphabetized of course, but having a hard time finding anything that calls to me. I did see that one, which I thought might have been a historical romance. It was not, it was just historical fiction. Okay, now I get excited because look at what I found. I found a historical romance and it looks brand spanking new. And this is by an author that I have been wanting to try. She's a Black author writing Black historical romance. And now we're just on some other random shelves, hopefully trying to find something. Okay, here's a Maria Vale, that's a paranormal romance. You can see the love stickers on the side, which I think is trying to tell you, hey, this is romance. But of course, sometimes they get that wrong for sure. This one, I believe, is like an inspirational romance, like a closed door romance. I actually don't know if it's inspirational romance. It's a closed door romance. I thought about getting that one. Saying hello to Tolstoy. Lots of War and Peace. No Anna Karenina, which is my favorite and wonderful, although heartbreaking, but also wonderful. Look at those Tolkien editions. So beautiful. Look, Anna Todd. Never read those, never had any interest. This Witch series, YA, I have a lot of fond memories for. Not sure. Oh, look, there's the Frankenstein book I read last year and hated. Let's see, what else can we find? There's those Fallen Angel books next to what looks like some inspirational romance. Those Fallen Angel books were YA, and I remember they had a chokehold on a lot of the YA girlies way back in the day. This is like a long time ago. Bet on It is a good book. I really liked that one. That one is a romance with great anxiety rep, right next to Karen Slaughter, who I love. Okay, look, they've got a little bit of Nailani Singh, and they actually have the second book in the Guild Hunters series, which I want to continue reading. I've only read the first one a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, I guess, and I really want to continue reading it. And they've got a small collection of Joanna Shoops. I love, love, love this. So, Mogul is the last book in her first series. It is pretty good, pretty interesting. The Devil of Downtown I absolutely love. Jack Mulligan, one of the best heroes, and he did deserve a little bit better, though, than what he got. V.E. Schwab, one of my favorite authors. I never mentioned her because I haven't read anything by her in a really long time, but this series is one of my favorite fantasy series. And specifically the way this ends, the last book, which is not that, that's the second book. Okay, yeah, this is the last book. A Conjuring of Light, one of the best endings, and the villain story, the redemption of the villain, one of my favorite things of all time. Vicious is another villain origin story, which is a ton of fun. It was very popular several years ago. I love that book very much. What else are we gonna find here? I don't even remember. Let's see. Yes, this one has interested me for quite a while, but I have not really wanted to buy it myself. The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I feel like that one had pretty mixed reviews from pretty much everybody. Let's see. There's some YA there. Westerns. I don't really see any romance, but... Oh, this is fun. Look, this is the shelf where you put books back when you decide to pass on them. Somebody was going to get some Danielle Steele, and then they were like, nah, we're going to leave those here. I mean, if you had a mother in the 80s, or if you grew up around then, you probably are familiar with Danielle Steele. I read her books when I was like 14. So this is the series that I read I didn't read the whole thing, I read the first chapter in a try a chapter tag video I did. Those were recommended to me by Jessen. I still want to get back to those. This is a different series I've never heard of by the same author, and like the cover intrigues me greatly. Very, very cool. More fiction. Not really sure what I'm looking for. Just kind of browsing, seeing what I can find. Okay, this is an exciting one because I remember seeing this cover when it was announced. I love the cover. I think it's so stunning. It's a contemporary romance. Sounds like it's about like a dance competition show, you know, like Dancing with the Stars maybe type of thing. Anyway, that looks fun. I also love this cover. These are the type of illustrated covers that I can get behind. Like, I dearly, dearly love and adore them. And yeah, there's a Tessa Dare there. Woohoo! And The Roommate. I heard conflicting things about that. I never read it, never really had an interest. Plain Bad Heroines is a book that I heard a lot about. I think this is horror, thriller, something like that. I am intrigued. Well, my friends, we did it. We did it. We had a successful library trip. I got some books. I'm excited to talk to you about them. So, I haven't done the voiceover yet, so I'm just going to tell you about what I got. In the video, you probably saw, well, you saw me going through a bunch of shelves. It was a bit chaotic. I wasn't like, nothing, it was just all fiction everywhere, so... It was a bit tough, and I was just browsing, looking for whatever caught my eye. But the first one that I saw that I did end up picking up is this beauty, Never Cross a Highlander by Lisa Rain. This actually has been on my radar for a while. This is a historical romance, and this is a Black woman writing about Black historical romances, which I love. I believe Warda left a comment reminding me about this author in a recent video that I did, and she was like, oh, she's on my radar, and I'm like, that name is familiar. And I looked it up, and I was like, oh yeah, I want to read her too. So I was so happy to see this. It was just standing there, so yeah, I brought this one, of course, for sure. Let's see, I don't know. It says, Ailsa Connery has waited 3 long years to finally escape her enslavement at Stirling Castle and reunite with her clan. But her carefully laid plans are completely destroyed by the arrival of the infamous Highland warrior known as Dub Mahoon, the Black Devil, who has plans of his own. So I'm excited. I really hope I love this one. And then another one that I saw that I ended up picking up, which I've been curious about this book since it was released, and it's The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. Years ago, I read The Night Circus, and I didn't entirely love it. It was obviously beautifully written and had interesting characters and a really interesting setup, but I struggled with the storytelling element of that. I didn't feel like it was a really strong story. It was very exploratory in its literary work and themes and everything, setting as a character, like all of that was really interesting and well done, but it didn't like grip me so that it was like a really great story, which, you know, can be difficult to accomplish, and maybe that wasn't her primary goal with that. It probably wasn't. She was interested in exploring other things, but I really liked her writing. I really liked her writing style, and I saw this here and I thought, well, here is a risk-free opportunity to give it a try, at least to read a few chapters. And it has the love sticker, like a lot of the books had love, even though they technically weren't romances. I know this isn't a romance, but interesting. It is a thick book. So something that I do think I'm going to do, I may not film a video of it, but I am going to at least read the first chapter of each of these books. And I may include that in this video. I might not. We'll see. We'll see how long this video is. Anyway, I'm just letting you know my first thoughts of the first chapter. That actually might be a fun thing to do in this video. So then I saw this next book, which I remember hearing things about on BookTube before I was even on BookTube, so it's been probably at least 3 years. I think this is a I don't know if it's a thriller, mystery, I'm not sure entirely what genre this is, but it's interesting. Like, the premise of it is basically these 2 young students become obsessed with a writer who writes a scandalous best-selling memoir. They start like a little club together and have secret meetings, and they call their private club Plain Bad Heroines, and it ultimately ends in their death. And the circumstances of their death is kind of interesting and weird because their bodies are discovered like 100 years later with a swarm of stinging, angry yellow jackets. And yeah, I don't know, it just sounds super interesting. And again, this is another book that, like, I don't want to buy because I'm not sure if I will love it, but I am very intrigued with it, so I was excited to just see it at the library, grabbed it. So yeah, those 2 were not romances. I mean, the love story is probably in here. This is definitely not a romance, but I mean, that's something that I think the library obviously is so great for, is it gives you like a risk-free way to try books that you wouldn't otherwise do. And I mean, like, way back when I was a young mom and we were, like, you know, struggling financially, the library was the only resource I had to read. And I just remember going there every single week, taking my kids, they'd pick out books, you know, some of them, they were kind of maybe too little at the time, they were babies. And, yeah, Kindle Unlimited wasn't a thing back then, because I'm not 20 years old right now. But I remember going there and just browsing the shelves and just picking books and just trying them, and some of them were great, a lot of them weren't, you know, because also libraries back then had much more like older books. Publishing has changed so much, the book industry has changed so much since then, and I could really see at least a little bit of an influence of BookTok or recent sale or increased sales of romance since the pandemic really affecting the libraries, what they had in stock. Like, I don't want to entirely say it's BookTok's reason why romances has been booming, because romance has always been like a big seller, but definitely since the pandemic, romance books have reached new heights. And I think it's interesting. Some people say that's BookTok. Some people say, was it just a result of the pandemic? It's interesting. It's an interesting concept. Anyway, the last book that I decided to get, which I am truly so excited about, because I just think This is a beautiful cover. I don't really know what it's about, but it's Take the Lead by Alexis Daria. I haven't read anything by this author before. I believe that I have one of hers on audio. I'm pretty sure that I have one of her books on audio. I think I have You Had Me at Ola, which is exciting. So this one is, let's see, the heroine is, she's been 4 seasons on The Dance Off. She's never made it to the finals. Her latest partner, the sexy star in Alaskan Wilderness Show, could be her chance. Who knew the strong, silent survivalist type had moves like that? So that sounds fun, right? I just love the cover. It's absolutely gorgeous. Look. This is an illustrated cover I can get behind. Stunning. Stunning. So yeah, that was super fun. I just love the library. I mean, I told you a little bit about like my, you know, early motherhood years where the library was like the only outlet that I had. That's how I actually, honestly, learned how to paint. I'm a watercolor artist too. It was by reading like art instruction books and taking them home and practicing. Anyway, that's neither here nor there, not really relevant to this video. But just going to the library is such a joy, and I just love, I mean, as a kid, my mom always took us to the library. I've always been an avid reader, just read everything I could get my hands on, so this was a really fun trip, and made me a little nostalgic. I almost picked up some YA books. I didn't, and I was also looking at the middle grade books, just, I don't know, I just love the library, the possibilities that are in there, the opportunities that you have to try new things, to find books you wouldn't have access to, and yeah, this was a ton of fun. So thank you for coming along on this journey with me, and yeah, I think I'm going to end this video here. I will update you on the first chapter of those books in another video or at another time. I will definitely let you know what I did with those, probably in a wrap-up video. So thanks so much for watching. If you have made it this far, please feel free to leave me a purple heart, and I'll see y'all in my next video.